Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of Play Some Video Games, the only podcast providing you with your weekly dose of the Emperor.
It is I, and I have silenced Donnie for this week, so now there will be no opposition.
You do realize he pays for this whole thing? He kind of bankrolls it?
Your reliance on Donnie is your weakness. It will be Darth Mo and I that have all the achievements, and then it will be unlimited gamer score.
Fair enough. So as you heard, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, unfortunately, this is the first episode of Play Some Video Games that is Donnie-less. He obviously wishes he could be here, but he is tied up at the moment, as you heard from the Emperor.
He is electrocuted.
Electrocuted, okay.
Yes. I'm afraid he will be quite singed by the time he comes back.
All right, so we know what the Emperor's been up to this week. So, Nathan, how you been?
Hey, pretty good. I do want to chat with the Emperor at some point because I want to discuss his options for the Empire. So stay on the line if you could. Anyway, I've been playing The Division, if that's any indication of how my week's gone so far. I'm back in. And I have been dragging somebody with me who I will leave nameless until later on in the episode when, if that comes up. But in addition to that, I've been playing Battlefront because it's Star Wars and it's amazing and it's Battlefront and I have the season pass and I'm playing the content and you can't stop me, and that's what I've been doing because I've been able to play video games this week, guys. I was so distraught last week because I wasn't able to play video games, and this week I've been able to play some, and it's so great being able to just have the controller in my hand and control a character on the screen just to do anything. It's been a good week of gaming, too, because I got some great content with Battlefront. With Battlefront, too. But also with The Division, I had some great experiences, got to play with some buddies, and really enjoyed my time. And good Lord, did I need it. And was it welcomed. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm back.
Hey, there we go. A little more kick in your step today.
And I did forget behind that.
Shh! Don't tell everybody our secrets.
Oh, sorry.
I did neglect to mention that we are without Donnie, but we do have myself as always. We have Nathan, who is here, and then we have our next person, who I believe Nathan was alluding to, Coach Mo. What have you been up to, man?
I've been playing a lot of just sports games, having a good time. Played a little baseball, but I also got to dive into The Division, and I've actually wrote a piece about it because I kind of fell in love. Some really awesome things have happened for me, and I can't wait to share that on the website. So other than that, coaching soccer, boys are 4-1. Congratulations. And that's about it.
What do you mean that's it? You made some purchases today.
All right.
You got to bring that up.
I didn't want to talk about it yet. It was actually going to go into my news story, but I feel comfortable sharing now. So today, I made some big purchases. I started my day off about 9:30. Decided to go to Best Buy and buy Star Fox Zero. Played it. Got through the first four levels, and
awesome.
Star Fox Zero has been beaten already.
Whoa!
Had a blast with that.
Hold on. What?
Yeah, I'm done with it. It's been beat.
He used his bombs wisely.
So tell me, how long was it?
Probably there were some breaks in there. But I would say it took me about 9 hours.
So that's not bad. Hold on. What did you do today?
Star Fox, that's not bad.
No, wait. What did you?
You guys,
you
got seen
it at
everything
9
I've
o'clock.
done today. I got it at 10.
Okay.
Played for 2 hours, then left at I think I played for 4 hours. Then I left around mid-afternoon for about 45 minutes. Bought a Steam machine. Came home. Played more Star Fox. Beat that at about 8, and then set the Steam machine up. About 8 o'clock, and I've been on that ever since.
So is a steam machine like a smoke machine where it emits smoke out? This one's it's like a sauna machine. Is that what you're talking about?
No, it's for your laundry, isn't it? It takes over.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
What you do is it's basically for Xbox gamers like myself who are you need a controller,
You got me.
but are able to play PC games. So today I got to play Civ 5, which is one of my favorite games on my Steam machine with my controller. I had to do some button mapping, which is why I was a little late getting on because I had to flip my headset. But I was having a blast getting it all set up, and I can't wait to dive into it. I can't wait to try Papers, Please. That's one that I've heard about, or the Stanley Parable. And so those will all be games that I plan on purchasing and diving into over the course of the week.
So hold on. Go back to Star Fox again. So you bought this game at 10 o'clock. You've beaten it. It took you 10 hours or 9 hours to beat it, right?
Yeah, give or take.
So the Star Fox games that I'm familiar with have like paths, right? You're in the Light system and you go through a path to get to the end. Did you go through multiple times or just one time to beat it in 9 hours?
I went through one time.
Okay, that's actually pretty good.
That's good.
Yeah, I went through one time. But I had, I don't want to admit this, but I bought the strategy guide this morning. And that, I only got it because it came with a really cool poster.
Okay, that's
and so I was like, ooh, and it's one of the hardcover ones, and you know how I love box art and art books and stuff like that. So I picked it up, and then I was having issue on the second phase. I'm not going to ruin any spoilers, so I'll be quiet there. But it's the second phase of the second system. And I was like, man, this is really difficult. I don't get how to do this. And so that's when I went and looked, and I was like, oh, I have to do this, and this first. And so once I figured that out, I just ran right through it and had a blast. And anytime I got stumped where I was dying, 2, 3, 4 times, I just opened the book right up, went, oh, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. And I did that, and I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. It reminded me a lot of the N64 one. I felt very I was like, oh, wait, this level, I know this bridge. I know what's about to pop out.
Nostalgia.
Yeah. But it got more difficult as it went on for me, which I really enjoyed about the fact that a lot of times when I play Nintendo games, I feel like that difficulty level is kind of ever present. It's going to be difficult from start to end, whereas this one kind of built for me, where I was like, oh, okay, nope, I can fly this. Oh, I get this. Oh, this is easy. That'll work. I can do this too. And it got really, really, it made it more difficult as it went on. So it scaffolded for me, and I really enjoyed it.
Would you be able to indulge me for a couple seconds and answer some questions?
Yeah, sure.
So, okay. I love the Arwing, and is there an all-range mode?
Yes.
Okay. Does Starwolf make an appearance in this game?
Ooh.
I don't know how to answer that, so I won't.
Okay.
Ooh.
So, what other ships are there other than the Arwing?
The only one that I enjoyed was your Arwing will rotate, and it basically becomes a walking chicken mobile, which is the way that my wife described it. So that is the only way I will refer to it. Yeah, walking chicken mobile. It literally, it looks like because of the way that it switches, it's on 2 legs, and it looks like it has chicken wings, and it's really enjoyable to watch. That was probably the most I've ever laughed with my wife at a game. So.
So there was a chicken walker. Are there other ones that you saw, though?
Yes.
How many?
Ooh.
I don't remember.
More than, 2 more?
I only remember one off the top of my head.
Okay, so probably, the Land Rover, the tank?
The tank.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because the tank has been it was even in the 64 version. I love the tank. It was great.
Yeah, I think that's where it debuted, was the 64 version.
Yeah, I believe you're right. So I have one more question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Did you use bombs wisely?
I actually barely used them.
So you did.
So
okay,
I'm gonna say yes then.
Awesome.
Well, it might not be wisely. That's just sparingly.
That's true. Oh, I do have one more question. I'm sorry. I lied. In this game, do they have the power up thing where you did from the first one? So you start with a single laser, then it goes to a double green, then it goes to a double blue.
Yes. Yeah.
Dude, I want to play this game so bad right now.
Or he just had a fever dream and he made up the whole thing.
That is true. He said he beat it and got it all in one day, and I call shenanigans.
I don't know. Let's see. So, anyway, sitting in our 4th chair in the PSVG studios this week is Kyle. What is up, Kyle?
I was having a conversation with a friend today, and she mentioned to me that she listens to our podcast only when I am on, which not saying that means I need to be on every week, But then she also said she only listens to about the first 15 minutes because she doesn't play video games.
Oh, so she's not gonna get to hear you.
I was really interested. Well, right. So I was like, it just doesn't matter. It really just doesn't matter because she's just never.
She tunes in just for the weekly updates, and that's it.
Pretty much, yes.
We're gonna move that back to the end of the show now, guys. Sorry. Starting next week, the weekly update will be at the end of the show.
Unlike others who have been playing The Division, I had a strong desire to play The Division, except this one game that has consumed my last 2 weeks, which is Ratchet and Clank. And I won't talk about it too much because I know Donnie talked about it for an extended period of time last week. But it is excellent. It's a very, very good game. If you have a PS4, I think it's a no-brainer to pick up. It might be the best exclusive on PS4, other than... Wow. Yep, I might say that. I haven't had this much fun with the game in a really long time. I just started challenge mode, which is basically New Game Plus. I'm not much of a trophy hunter, but I do think I am going to go for the platinum in this one. I'm pretty close already. So I'm just really having a good time with it. It is a ton of fun. So I just highly recommend that. Outside of gaming, I'm going to, kind of meander into a couple other things really quick of what I've been doing because I don't have other cool podcasts like everyone else does. So
I don't know
a couple other things.
Cool podcast, except Jason.
They just have other podcasts.
So a couple other things, very briefly. I'm a really big documentary nut, and I've been on a big documentary kick again. So if anybody is interested in them, Netflix streaming has a lot of really good ones and some newer ones right now. For Grace, the Barkley Marathons, Cartel Land, and All Work and All Play are 4 really excellent documentaries, all about really different stuff. But I highly recommend if you enjoy documentaries to check them out. They're really well shot. The stories are really interesting. Some of them are happy, some of them are sad, but they all have pretty good stories going along with them. So I would definitely recommend that. From a television standpoint, I'm old, but I never saw The West Wing. And I just started watching it, and that show is exceptional.
It is. It's one of my favorite shows ever. Seriously, no lie.
Yeah, I just started watching. I'm only about 5 or 6 episodes in, and I've always really admired Aaron Sorkin, but my goodness, is this show amazing. So I feel like in just a few weeks, that TV show will be taken care of, but that is quite exceptional. And then on the board game front, I am, listing my home here soon because we're looking at moving, so most of my board games are packed. But I've been playing a decent amount of Lords of Waterdeep recently, along with the expansion for that, which is Scoundrels of Skullport. Really good game. It's a nice, really light Euro game. So if you're looking at getting into those Euro-style board games, the worker placement games, it's a good one to check out. It's pretty inexpensive, and it's just a really nice entry level into that market of games. So just definitely recommend that. But I've been playing a good amount of that the last couple of weeks as well.
Now, is that a co-op one, or like where it's the players against the board, or is it a versus type board game?
It is a versus type game. See.
Versus.
Yeah, I really enjoy co-op games, but my fiance, who is far better at board games than I am, really enjoys versus games because she beats me all the time. And we've been doing a number of co-ops lately, so she's like, how about we play something I can beat you at? And I said, okay. And then she has promptly beat me, I think, every time we've played it. So that's okay, no big deal. It's still fun. But yeah, definitely not a co-op.
Okay. Nathan, side note, write this down. I want you to extract the audio where Kyle says she beats him regularly.
Yes, I will do so.
Thank you, Emperor. So if you haven't listened since the beginning, I think we said this in the first or second episode, that one of the unique things about this podcast is that what do we have to 8 or 9 guys now? I can't even keep track anymore. To my knowledge, none of us have ever met in person. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. True. All right. So Kyle and I, however, will most likely be the first 2 members to ever meet coming up very soon. So excited for that. Dun. And then we will promptly kick Kyle off the podcast because I will probably dislike him very much. No, I'm just kidding.
Kyle, don't do it.
I'm already bringing you beer. Come on, I'm bringing you beer.
This is true. He is bringing me beer, so you win. So yes, I am traveling for work coming up at the beginning of May, traveling out to Iowa where Kyle resides. So we're going to meet up for a little meet and greet. I'm kind of in and out within a day and a half, so we won't have too much time, but it'll be awesome to meet face to face.
Hold on. Wait. Iowa, what part?
Yes. I'll be in Cedar Rapids.
I am in Waterloo.
Okay. I'm just curious because I was trying to figure out how far that would be from Peoria area of Illinois.
I would say, yeah, just
it's a ways.
just drive down, Kyle. Nathan. Just drive down.
Yeah. But a live podcast?
Yeah.
Are we gonna get some churros?
Chimichangas.
Ah.
I'm sure Iowa is known for its great chimichangas.
So what is Iowa known for? Sorry, Illinois
Corn,
like corn, right? Yeah, just corn.
I would say Illinois is corn.
From what I can tell from Google Street View, yeah, like where I'll be staying and where I'm going for business is in like the heart of Cedar Rapids. And I was like, all right, let me check out Street View and see what's nearby, see if there's any like restaurants and whatnot. So I'm cruising down by Street View, and after like 3 clicks, I was in like farmland. So I'm like, oh well, I went too far, so I went in the other direction, and it was like 3 clicks in the other direction, and it was farmland. So I'm like, wow, okay, this is it.
So
and then I messaged Kyle.
You will literally be staying at the hotel.
No, there's like 5 or 6, but I'm staying, I think, in the only one that's in like the middle of the absolute 3 blocks of the city. So everything else is closer to the airport, which is like 5 blocks away.
Yeah, Kevin's message to me was like, hey, I thought this was like the second biggest city, quote unquote, in Iowa. I'm like, well, I'm pretty certain it is. He's like, where are the skyscrapers? I'm like, yeah, it's the second biggest, but it's only 150,000 people. Like, it's not that big.
I think the building I'll be doing business in is like the tallest one, and it's like 5 stories at that. If that, it might only be 4. So it's like, oh, okay. All right, so enough bashing of Iowa in case we have any other listeners out there. I love Iowa. That's why I'm going. Yay. So anyway, on the gaming front, I'm a little boring. I'm still kind of picking away at Dragon Age. Still really enjoy it. However, I'm sure Nathan's going to groan here. I'm probably going to put it to the side for now, only because I can only play for about an hour at a time, and I'm not really getting a whole lot done in that game by only playing an hour at a time. So
I understand.
I'm probably going to put it to the side. Yeah, I'm going to put it to the side until I get longer game session times, and then I'll definitely pick it back up. Like I said, I absolutely like it. By the time I get into something, I'm like, oh, I got to turn this off and go to work or whatever. So, and then besides that, playing Earthbound on my 3DS still. I have a couple other news points that are kind of relevant. But anyway, so this week is spring break out here. At least I don't know if it's across the country or not. I don't really pay attention. But so my kids have been home. So we went to Dave & Buster's last night. And I just want to say I haven't been to Dave & Buster's in a long time. And if you're not familiar with Dave & Buster's, not really sure why you listen to this podcast, but it's the adult version of Chuck E. Cheese, if you will, where you can have booze and play video games. So just want to know, I discovered that they have a Luigi's Mansion arcade game.
Mario!
Yeah,
Luigi!
It's pretty cool because you actually get the whole vacuum cleaner part, and you're like inside a booth to play this game. It's not like one of the open ones like House of the Dead or anything like that. You're actually inside of a booth playing this. So it's pretty cool. Graphics are interesting. Still keeps the Nintendo feel, but it's definitely a different kind of shooter. So I thought that was of note. It's kind of fun to play. So if you can get a chance to play it, check it out. It's kind of fun.
I have never been to a Dave & Buster's.
Oh, you should. Although you will dump a lot of money probably really quick playing video games. So
well, that's fine. But I want to play the Star Wars Battle Pod wherever it's at. I need to find that and play that.
My daughter played that actually, so she was not very successful at it, but she did play it. So,
but she's have a good time?
Again, she had a blast. She's 9 years old, so it's like she was in the pod by herself, and you have to kind of control with both hands doing different things. And I think that kind of like blew her mind a little bit. So
sounds amazing.
Yeah, but you can only from the outside you can kind of only see through. So like if you're playing, you see it, and it's kind of like you're in a mini IMAX theater. So like the screen kind of wraps around. If you're trying to watch from outside, you're not really seeing much, but I could hear it, and like it's 100% like authentic sound effects from the blaster shooting and like the TIE fighters and whatnot. So it was pretty cool.
How much is it?
Well, Dave & Buster's doesn't do it by money; they do it by points, if you will. So you go in and you put points on a card, and you just swipe your card when you're at the machine. So basically, you have no idea how much money you're actually spending. It was like 10 points, I think, which most games are between 6 and 8. The deluxe ones are like 10 and up, so it's considered a deluxe one.
So how much does $10 buy in points?
I'm not sure. I did $50, and it was like 375 or 395 points.
That's not terrible.
No, it's not terrible. And they do a lot of promos too. They'll have like half price days, or you can go and they have a full service restaurant there, and you can actually order food where you get like a $10 or $20 card with your meal too. So they kind of do what they can to give you some incentive to play more games. So
nice.
It's pretty cool. Other than that, we've taken this spring break to be educational with my children and teach them a lot about history.
Boo. That's not what spring break's for. I'm
Well, I
speaking
mean,
for
you
your
know-
kids right now. They can't speak for themselves. I have to. You don't be educational on spring break.
Well, hear me out though.
That's what winter
So we're
break's for.
talking about Civil War, and we're learning about the Civil War, and we thought the best way of doing that was to watch the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe
I can get
leading
behind
up to
this.
Captain America: Civil War.
Gotcha. I can
So-
get behind that education.
Exactly. Yes. So we're having a blast with that. We finished first 2 Iron Man, Thor, and we're like 90% done with Captain America. So we're up to World War II. So see, it's history.
I have a problem with that though, because you said you watched
Yeah.
the first 2 Iron Mans. You've watched
Yep.
Thor and Captain
Yep.
America.
Yep.
You know there's another one that came after Iron Man, right?
Yes, and
That's very important.
yes, I know your love for Hulk, Coach Mo, but here's the dilemma. So I had a hard enough time explaining to my kids how Don Cheadle popped up in Iron Man 2, and he was the same guy as Iron Man 1, but a different guy playing him. That kind of threw him for a loop. That I thought having a Hulk that wasn't Mark Ruffalo, which that's the only Hulk they've ever known, would kind of throw him off. Plus, technically, that movie was distributed by Universal. So
But it was still part of the MCU.
kind of, sort of, but we skipped that one. So yes, that is the only one we're skipping, though.
I
I
think-
actually had to buy Captain America the first one and Thor the Dark World because I didn't have them. I knew I didn't have Captain America the first one because I didn't care for it that much, but I really thought I had Thor 2, but apparently I did not. So I had to Amazon Prime them like the other day, have them overnighted till they're here today, so we didn't have a gap in watching our movies. Absolutely. So we're doing that. Other than that, to kind of get out of our weekly updates, is one last thing I kind of want to talk about. I know I talked about you guys on our little chat that we do here and there. But for our listeners, if you haven't heard of a podcast called The Making Dad Show. So this podcast is a comedy podcast from 2 guys, I believe they're in their like mid-30s, discussing parenthood. And they're very funny guys. They kind of put everything with tongue in cheek. Really funny show. So check it out if you're a parent. It's probably funny if you're a parent than if you're not. But anyway, they gave us a shout out on their most recent episode where they started talking about video games and whatnot. And they kind of gave our show a little plug there. So that was cool. And then they actually asked us for some feedback as to what games they should be playing with their kids. So I did send that back. And they also said that they would be willing to come on our show in the future. So little plug there. We might have another special guest lined up. And I have another special guest that I'm keeping secret even from the crew at Play Some Video Games. So I am working on another one. The only hint I will give is that it is a Hollywood actor.
Michelle
So-
Branch.
Oh, Mo, don't even joke about that. That's not even
greatest artist
funny,
of our
Mo.
lifetime.
Wait, Cal, why?
Okay, so you know how
Michelle
you all
Branch
have
is
that
sexy.
person, like,
Michelle Branch.
you know,
Every
your
person is
list.
Michelle Branch.
Seriously?
Oh, man.
She's on your list?
Ooh. Oh my,
If your
dude,
person is not Michelle Branch, you're an idiot.
my gosh, Mo, Mo, I like you so much more now. This is great.
Michelle Branch.
I had the opportunity to meet her once,
Oh.
and I have had, because of some things and some jobs I had in the past, I've actually been fortunate to meet a number of people who would be considered quote unquote Hollywood stars or whatever. But she was the one who I was like, I was a complete idiot. It was horrible. It was, oh man. Whew.
So
Michelle Branch.
I will say it's not Michelle Branch. So I'll give you that much. And can I side note this with I'm terrible with celebrities? Who is Michelle Branch?
She's a singer.
I quit. I am off this podcast. I no longer want to be associated with this group. You disgust me, sir. This is horrible.
you skipped
This
the
is
whole.
gut-wrenchingly disgusting. No. Goodbye, folks.
What has she been in? Like, throw out some
She's
movies
not
or
an
TV
actress.
shows.
She's a singer.
She's a singer.
She's the singer.
So I said it's an actor. So why would you say? I thought it was a singer, and I was like,
her
oh,
lyrics are so beautiful, you act them out in your soul.
did she co-write "Caramelize Me, Baby"?
Yes?
Okay.
Whenever she takes a shower, the music just plays. From the heavens.
All right.
Rob-
So
Is it
anyway,
because she has a Sonos that displays? Because I can understand that.
if you're still listening at this point, I congratulate you. But we're gonna move on off of what we've done for the week. So, we're we're going to do something a little bit different with the format this evening. We kind of discussed on how lately we've had to rush through the mailbag and kind of not get to everybody. And we wanted to take time today and put the mailbag at the front of the podcast, so we had enough time to address your questions, because ultimately we do it for you guys, the listeners. So why wouldn't we pay attention to you guys and make sure we cover all bases? And we want to encourage you to send in those questions. So you're not going to do it if we're not answering them, right? So we're going to dip into the messages first.
Message for you, sir.
Yay!
I love how that was perfect for the empty space I need to put the music in. So just yay! All right, so
Yay.
all right. Our first question this evening comes from Ryan in the forums. He asks us, "What TV or gaming monitor do we play on? I have a few options to choose from based on what game or system I'm playing on. I'm curious to see what you guys think." So, Mo, why don't you go first?
I have two. I have a Samsung flat screen that I use just for when I'm goofing off playing with friends. But I also have an Asus less than millisecond response or refresh time monitor that I got through Major League Gaming. I bought it off their website, and I use that whenever I play shooters.
Awesome.
Overachiever.
Yeah, I know, right? Nathan, then what do you play on?
In my main gaming space where my Xbox One is hooked up, I just play on a LED TV, a Samsung LED TV, 65-inch. And then in my office, I have a 40-inch Sony Bravia LCD. And whenever I end up playing on my PC, I just have a basic Samsung SyncMaster 223BW.
Fair enough. And Kyle, what do you play on?
When this question was just asked, I had a sudden rush of panic of like, do I even remember what television I have? Well, in addition to the beautiful OLED screen that's on my Vita, I have a 46-inch Samsung LED. It's 1080p. It's pretty old. It's only 60 hertz, which in retrospect, back in the day, I should have sprung for the 120. But hopefully soon, when I get a new house, I'll need a bigger TV, I think.
Yes, you will.
Yeah,
because
that's the
way I
story
have
I'm going
TV.
with.
Yes. All right. So me, I'm the cheapskate of the group. So formerly working for Best Buy, one of the perks of Best Buy was you had a pretty bomb discount. And the discount
10%
was
over wholesale.
5% over cost.
I thought they were cheating me?
So apparently.
I just found my summer job.
It's really good on certain things where stuff is marked up, pretty high, but there's a lot of things that you actually don't get any discount, like computers. There's actually no profit in Best Buy for selling computers, surprisingly.
But if you need a
things
USB cable?
Oh, God, yeah. You get them for like a nickel, like no exaggeration. Video games, you get like $10 to $15 off on average, so Gamers Club Unlocked is technically a better deal. But things like appliances, anything in home theater and car stereo stuff, all that stuff is way marked up. So I went with all my TVs in my house. I don't have any like gaming monitors or anything like that, but all my TVs are either Insignia or Dynex brand, which are Best Buy brands.
No.
You can groan at, but once again, from being an insider, I spent many a time in Minnesota at our corporate office in the labs. So these televisions, unbeknownst to the common consumer, are actually engineered by Samsung or LG, depending on the model. So you actually get the same specs as a regular Samsung TV or an LG TV, but it's simply Best Buy's brand, which means I get a bigger discount on it. So I have a couple 55-inch TVs, 120 hertz on all of them, LEDs. So either in the living room, I have one in the basement, and then a smaller TV in my bedroom. But they're all Best Buy brands because I'm cheap and I will pay the lowest possible price to get the best possible quality out of it. So,
but Kevin, doesn't it eat at your soul every time you look at your TV and you see the Insignia logo, and you're reminded of all the hardships that you faced at Best Buy every time you look at it?
I would, but then I think about how that 55-inch cost me $250. So I can live with it, to be honest.
Summer job.
Yeah, only summer jobs. I don't encourage you guys to invest in a career in Best Buy.
No,
I mean, unless Best Buy wants to endorse us, then by all means, Best Buy. Yeah.
I was there for like 3.5 years, maybe 4. I can't remember, but yeah, It was an interesting time. It was a good growing experience, but I would not want to have a quote-unquote career there. Unless I was in
Thanks.
corporate or something like that.
Thanks,
Best
Nathan.
Buy, I do want a career there for the summer so I can buy a Curve TV and I will rock it for you. Teacher style.
That's true. You got a great setup for summer jobs. Anyway, so thank you, Ryan, for writing in. Next, we have Dan, who also wrote in our forums. What annualized franchise has taken the most of your money over the years? For many years, I would buy Madden and whatever WWE SmackDown versus Raw came out. I've spent hundreds, maybe over $1,000 spent on you alone, Madden, angrily shaking fist, as he wrote on there. So, what annualized franchise has ripped you guys most off of your hard-earned money? Let's go with Kyle first.
Wow, this is actually a really hard question. If I were to think back in the day, it might include, probably would be Tony Hawk. But if I consider, I mean, I'm one of those suckers who buys Assassin's Creed every year. So it'd be either that, Tony Hawk or Assassin's Creed, one of the two.
Alrighty. And Nathan.
Gotta be Madden for me. You know, I gotta support John Madden's turducken craze. So I give him money every year since Xbox days to get a new version. I decided a while ago to skip and do every other year, but that doesn't always actually hold out. But it's got to be Madden for me. And what's more is when you decide that you want to trade in Madden to get the next version, they give you like a nickel. So
Yep.
you don't get any money out of that.
Absolutely. For me, I don't think I tried thinking about this question. I couldn't come up with anything that I buy annually, to be honest. Whenever the sports games were out, I'd buy like every couple versions. I wouldn't buy every year. Same thing with Tony Hawk's. I skipped around a lot. So I don't think I actually purchased anything that was annual, even like nowadays with Assassin's Creed, Call of Duties. Those aren't really up my alley. So I'm going to have to say none. Proudly.
Lies.
No, I really honestly can't come up with something. If I do think of something, I will respond back later on the show if it pops in my head. But as of right now, there is nothing I buy annually. Or none of the games I like come out annually. It's every like couple years most of the time. So, Coach Mo, how about you?
So, as you guys were talking, I was wishing I could use your answers, but I don't want to lie to our awesome fans.
Barbie.
The one
You
that's
could
cost
say
me the most has been Call of Duty.
Mm-hmm.
it. Really? Oh, because you get the limited editions.
Because I get the limited editions,
Oh,
I've got
yeah.
the fridge, all the collector's editions for the last couple, and with Madden, I normally just get the basic one because I don't do the what do you call it, the card version,
What?
Ultimate Team.
Madden.
Yeah.
No. Stop.
I know.
Stop.
I love the franchise mode. I play a lot of that, but I don't actually do the Madden Ultimate Team stuff.
Have you tried it?
I've tried it a couple times. I tried Draft Champions, and that was really, I enjoyed that way more
Yeah.
than I did Ultimate Team. But my problem is, like, Madden should be a game of skill, not a game of how much money you have. And so when you have these all-star teams put together and you're playing against a guy who has a very basic team, the skill is not level, and it's no longer. Sorry, the game is not level. It's you're a really, really great team full of 99s versus a team full of 60s and 70s, and so that was my biggest issue with it. So
No, it doesn't depend upon the skill of the players. It depends upon the coach of the team.
truth.
I mean, it's in your name, Coach Mo.
it's true. It's true.
True. And I'll be honest, Mo, I don't know how I forgot. I totally forgot about Call of Duty. That probably is it. Because I bought every one since like 3.
The one game that was guaranteed to come out every year besides the sports game, and you forgot about it.
Well, it's because I actually don't have my copy of Black Ops 3 anymore, so I was just kind of trying to go through like everything I currently had, so that's why I forgot about it.
That was my problem. Is I was looking at my wall of games and I was like, oh, I want to say Madden or NBA 2K, and I was at Call of Duty. I was like, no, it's you.
No.
Season passes.
Sounds so defeated over there.
Ooh, that
Only
doesn't
one of
even-
the season passes ever been worth it though.
That doesn't
Only
even
one.
come into to think about. Like when you think about these annualized games, and then there are the season passes on top of it. Man, they suck out even more money.
Oh
Yeah, they've gotten between $100 and $200 from me every year for probably 5 years now at a Call of Duty.
And would you say it's worth it?
The only DLC that's ever been worth it was Call of Duty Black Ops. I've never had a better experience with a game and its DLC. The other ones I keep being like, no, don't buy the DLC. You don't need to buy this. And then I do it so I can play multiplayer. Ugh.
And then he wakes up 9 hours later and he has a Steam machine in his house. Who knew?
Hey, that was a great purchase. I'm gonna play a lot of Civ 5 on that bad boy.
I can't wait to hear more from it later on after you've gotten your hands dirty with it for a couple weeks.
Mo, what Steam machine did you get? Because there's a number of them, right?
I got the Alienware one. Are they all Alienware?
I don't think so. I think they're like
No.
all around.
Well, I have the box. I have the box right here. So let me grab this real quick, folks.
Oh, he brought the box to the studio, ladies and gentlemen.
How'd you get that past security? Did they X-ray that?
They did not. This doesn't have the tag on it.
Kyle, you're fired.
No wonder
Let me
the
grab
Emperor
it.
got in here.
I'm gonna grab the other one, so you can probably cut this out. Give me 1 second.
I'm gonna grab the other one to give you work to do.
We're not cutting anything out. We're gonna do this whole thing freeform because you know why?
Wow.
You know why we're not cutting this out? Because Kyle is here.
What does that have to do with anything?
All right.
The one
I just
female
start
listener
talking?
we have might keep listening if you keep talking.
Yeah, Kyle, do your thing. Kyle, for the ladies. Do it for Branch.
Oh, Meech. Oh, Meech.
I have the Alienware Steam machine. It's the i7 and with the 1 terabyte hard drive.
Okay. So yeah, that's not the one I was thinking of. That's not a solid state drive.
Oh, okay. The i7 isn't?
No.
This week's episode of Play Some Video Games has been brought to you by Steam Machines.
I'm really excited. This is going to be fun to try because, again, the only PC game I've ever really played has been the Civilization ones. And that was because I played, was it Revolution? Civilization?
Yeah.
The 360
Revolution.
one.
Yeah,
Revolution.
yeah.
And I loved that one. I had a blast playing it, so that got me to try the other ones. So,
Nice.
All right, so moving on. Eric Green on Twitter at ECG28713.
Hold on. What was the
says-
last question? How do we get to Steam machines again?
We're talking about how much money Mo spends on stuff.
Oh, okay.
thanks.
So Eric says, I've traded in my 3DS for a Vita.
Yes,
what
Eric.
So what is your favorite handheld
Preach.
of all time? And I know Donnie is most likely shaking his head. So Nathan, what is your favorite handheld of all time? Budweiser doesn't count.
I want to say my favorite handheld of all time really is like my iPhone. But I know that's not the answer that you're looking for. Because, I mean, when I played a lot of handheld games back in the day, it was really like Game Boy Advance or... Game Boy Advance was my favorite Game Boy, for sure. I didn't really care for the DS, honestly. The two screens I just didn't like that much. I didn't want to have to use the touch screen interface. So I never really cared for the DS. Game Boy Advance is probably my favorite of that Nintendo generation stuff. But, you know, I always have to go back to, and it's probably just because it was my brother's, and I always played with it when he wasn't around, and I wasn't supposed to. But his Sega Game Gear, I loved that thing. It had a full color screen, while Game Boy still just had the monochromatic screen. You could get an antenna adapter on it and watch TV on your Game Gear. My brother had this external battery that made this thing just super heavy, but I loved it because I love heavy things.
I was about to say the battery would last like 3 minutes without
Yeah.
that. So
Because it was 6 AA's otherwise.
Yep.
Or 8. I think it was 6.
It is 6.
And my brother had like Aladdin and stuff like that. He just had great games. The music, the sound was good, but I really loved the backlit color screen. It was awesome. And that was my first experience with the backlit color screens. And to me, that's probably my favorite handheld. And I didn't play a ton of games on it. I played the ones I remember most that my brother had. He only had like 2 or 3. Were Aladdin and NBA Jam. And I think it was NBA Jam. You had like the 2 players on each team. I was always play as the Bulls because I was a
It was
Bulls fan.
Jordan and Pippen, I think, was the
Yep.
team on that.
Jordan and Pippen.
Yep.
I mean, you couldn't go wrong, right? And I would always give the ball to
No
Jordan
way.
because you got to give Jordan the ball. And I just love that game. The announcer would like, "Oh, he's on fire" or something like that, and it was just so good. That's got to be my favorite handheld. Just the nostalgia, the memories. Was it the best handheld of all time? Definitely not. I mean, you've got the Vita now, which is probably honestly the best, technically. But the Game Gear is where my fondness lies, and also the Game Boy Advance, just because I could play all my Game Boy games, and it was now in color, and it was a good experience too. But the Game Gear edges it out for me.
Cool. And Kyle, what is your favorite handheld of all time?
Well, from a nostalgia standpoint, it would definitely be the original Game Boy. I'm pretty certain that it's still in a box at my parents' home. Every once in a while when I go visit, I bust it out, and it still works. So for nostalgia, that guy. But I'm not much of a handheld gamer, but definitely overall, I love my Vita. I think some people give it a lot of hate. They say it's not as good as the 3DS, which I can understand. But I think more than anything, Sony just was wrong. Just didn't approach their marketing correctly, because that is a really, really great system with a very good catalog. So yeah, I really love my Vita.
Alrighty, Coach Mo, how about you?
I like the 3DS. I really like the Vita, but I love the PSP because it has Def Jam, Fight for New York. Mic drop.
And if you don't understand the backstory with that, listen to pretty much any episode Coach Mo has been on so far, and that's probably brought up in every single one of these episodes. So,
as it should be.
I played it too. I'm guilty. So for me, I'm gonna cheat and give two answers here. So for best games, I'm going to have to agree with Nathan and go with the Game Boy Advance on this one. During that time, I remember playing, Metroid Fusion was a fantastic game, which now you can get on your Wii U Virtual Console. The Mega Man Battle Network games. I mean, there were just a ton of great games during that era. But my favorite actual console for handhelds is definitely I'm just going to say DS, because yeah, they added 3D to it, but essentially it's been kind of the same system all along. I think it's very innovative. There's a lot of unique things where there were certain games where you played in a manner that you never could before because of the touchscreen. So there were some games, absolutely, I didn't want to use a touchscreen. I was like, why? But I think overall it was a successful marketing point for the DS was the whole touchscreen aspect. You can play games in a way you never could. So I've had a lot of fun with that over time. And obviously, I've pretty much had every single Nintendo handheld, I think, except for maybe the Game Boy Micro might be the only one I didn't have. But I've played them all. The Vita, I will say, if I ever could get my hands on one really, really, really cheap, I would probably buy it right now, only because I would have a mess of free games thanks to PlayStation Plus. So that would pique my interest to try out a Vita. But I've never really been attracted to Sony's handhelds. I don't know what it is. I just think the games on it weren't anything I wanted to pick up and play on the go. I think Sony does great games for sitting on your couch and kind of falling into a whole world. I don't really like that in my handheld, to be honest. I like more of a shallow experience, if you will. So that's me. So thank you for sending your question, Eric. Next up, Josh Stapleton at CRed_81 on Twitter asks, what's been a game that most people are down on that you've absolutely loved? So, Mo, let's start with you. Def Jam Fight for New York.
No, because no one can ever be down on that one. It's amazing. Actually, the one that I was going to mention would have been... I don't remember if this one was insulted at first, but I really enjoyed it. And that was Batman Arkham City. Was that the one that got all the bad reviews, or was that Origin?
That was
when I read this,
Origin.
Yeah, City was good.
Because when I read that, I was like, oh, the only one I can think of that, because I've never played a game I didn't like. Like I've had some where I'm like, oh, this is really bad. But you know what I mean? That was the first one popped in my head. Then if I'm completely wrong on that, then the only one I can think of is probably Assassin's Creed 3, because I had a blast playing through that one. And I know a lot of people had issues with glitches and stuff, but I really didn't have a problem.
All right, so for me, Arkham Origins is a good one, because I remember a lot of people bashed on that, and I was okay with it because it was just more of the same. So you got just more of the same exact thing you got in Arkham City, just on a little bit of a smaller scale. But, I'm a little bit tough because I play a lot of Nintendo games, which a lot of people are down on everything Nintendo puts out for the most part. Star Fox is the example right now, getting kind of iffy reviews. But for me, I'd say probably the most recent one that a lot of people did bash on that I really, really enjoyed would be Watch Dogs. I thought that game was a ton of fun. A lot of people, I guess they were expecting like a Grand Theft Auto type game or something like that, which it really, I don't recall it ever being marketed as that, but I saw a lot of people say like, oh, Grand Theft Auto is way better game than this. And it's like, well, it's not really the same thing. But I had a blast. I played through the DLC in that. I think that's actually the first game I ever bought the season pass for, to be honest. So I'm going to go with Watch Dogs as my answer. And Nathan, how about you?
Favorite game that everybody was down on? Is there have to be is it this generation or can it be
I
whenever?
think it could be anything. I'd say whenever.
So I have to go back with Star Wars Clone Wars on Xbox, original Xbox, because I love that game. I had a core group of players. We played the online mode with that game, and it was a MOBA, honestly, before MOBAs became a big thing, because you had a group of you and 3 other guys against another base of 3 or 4 people, and you had bases that you could capture and build along the way that build little AI units that go and attack their base, and you can also go attack their base, and they have turrets you had to take out, and it was a great game. It was amazing. I loved it, but critically it was not received well. But I really loved Star Wars Clone Wars, and that was the original Xbox days, the infancy of Xbox Live, and that was the first game that I really loved to play online gaming with.
And that's all that matters, is if you like it. So, Kyle, what did you like that everybody else poo-pooed on?
Well, this is always hard for me because I was trying to think of something that was not of this generation, but then revisionist history gets in my mind about games that people originally didn't like but now say are great and vice versa. So I can never quite remember sometimes for older generations, like, did I really like that and everyone else hated it, or how did that all work? I think you see this in music all the time because apparently nobody likes Creed or Limp Bizkit, but they sure sold a lot of albums and had a lot of sold-out concerts, but I can't find a person today who says they like them. So for me, I'll stay this generation as a result. I have 2 really easy ones, The Order 1886 and Knack. I understand for The Order. I definitely get why people didn't like that game. I just thought it was a fun little romp. I enjoyed my time with it. It was not a perfect game. I don't even know if I would say it was a great game, but I had a lot of fun playing it, and I thought the story was interesting, and I hope there's another one. And then Knack, I honestly don't understand the hate for Knack. I get that it's not a perfect game. Absolutely it's not. But people just bash that game like it's the worst. I don't know. I just don't totally understand it. Maybe I just don't get what makes a good game. But, man, I just don't understand the absolute hate that game gets.
I'm with you on that one. My wife and I had a blast playing Knack. We smashed right through that. So
I'm with you too, because I enjoyed The Order as well, and Knack. I haven't completed it yet, but I played through a large majority of it. I'm having a ton of fun with it. My kids love watching it. I think it's a blast. So I'm with you there. All right. Next up, Rob wrote in on Twitter at superlobster06_ asked, what franchise would we want Bethesda to give the quote-unquote Fallout / Elder Scrolls treatment to? Let's start with Kyle.
So I was trying to think. My first mind right away with this, I went to Lord of the Rings. But Shadow of Mordor already exists. Granted, it's not as epic and big as a Bethesda game is, but I think they could get there if they wanted to. So I'm going to take a little bit of a pivot. And there have been games made about this property, but none of them have been super great. I'm going to go with Harry Potter. I would love to see a Bethesda Harry Potter. So that's my answer. Final answer.
That is an amazing answer. We should have had you go last. Nathan, how are you going to top that?
Well, everybody thinks that I'm going to say Star Wars.
And they're right.
Which, I mean, yeah, I kind of wouldn't mind it, but at the same time, I was trying to think outside the box of what I would normally want to see, right? Star Wars, yeah, I wouldn't say no to that for sure, but I think it'd be kind of cool to see an MCU game with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, all those characters, and everybody from the Marvel properties, honestly, in a game by Bethesda. A massive game where you play as a guy and you go to one city and you go into, like, let's say you go into New York City and you see Spider-Man or something like that, and then you go over and you go into another area or city and you see Iron Man, all these other things are happening. That'd be really cool. I think that'd be neat.
All right. And Coach Mo?
Well, Nate just took what my first idea was, so I'm glad I ended up changing it.
Oh, me too.
I was like, as he said, I was like, oh man, that would have been, I would have looked really dumb. But I'm kind of used to looking really dumb, so I'm cool with that one. For me, the one that I was really like, when I heard it, I was so jacked. I want a Master Chief story where we start from that beginning, like before he becomes Master Chief, where he's just going, he's out there fighting, saving the world on this giant, huge Mass Effect type space environment level created, but with their textures, their touch, their stuff.
But that's Halo.
No, because all right, for Halo, it's super linear for me. Like,
yeah, most city wants a story.
I want a story where I can just go wherever I want, and I can kind of do, you know what I mean, like do what you want to do. Not, hey, you can go like really far to the right or the left, but there's going to be something blocking you, forcing you to go straight where we want you to go.
Have you played ODST? Wait, it's not a Master Chief story, but have you played it?
Yeah, I have. That's why I didn't count it, because it's not a Master Chief story.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah.
I want the Chief.
Hail to the Chief. All right, so for me, I had a tough time with this one because I think I've said it many, many times on this podcast. I am a huge Bethesda fan. So initially, first thing that came to my mind was along the same lines as Nathan, but I was thinking more DC Universe. But hey, whatever. So I'm not going to give that as an answer. And then I thought the most easiest and obvious one, but then I decided I didn't want that, would be Legend of Zelda. Only because I think it would just basically be Skyrim, so I didn't want that. So I threw that one out. So my real two answers, I'm cheating today a lot and giving multiple answers.
I'm going to change my answer after you, by the way.
Okay, that's fine. All right, so two answers here. Number one, Metroid.
Oh, yeah, really good.
Love to play Samus as a bounty hunter across like a whole planet landscape or something like that would be awesome.
The coolest amiibo, by the way.
That is true. And then my second answer is along the same lines as what Kyle said, but I've thought for the longest time, how is this not a game? Because in my mind, it would be the most easiest thing. It would make an amazing multiplayer experience. Hunger Games.
Ooh.
Imagine doing multiplayer where you boot up, you get no weapons, you get no nothing. And the object is to find and kill your opponents on the map. And not Call of Duty style where you get, rocket launchers, you can call in air support. Just
Minecraft
simple
style.
Exactly. It's going to be like hand-to-hand combat or bow and arrow, and survival in like a massive map. I think that would be amazing to see, kind of Bethesda give its, huge landscapes, kind of do something with that too. So those are my answers. So Nathan and Mo, you had some amendments?
Yes. Mo, you can go first.
Def Jam, Fight for New York. The Michelle Branch story. So it's Michelle Branch just wrecking shop, showing New York like all her crazy moves, taking over streets, running this whole empire. I'm sorry, this is the perfect game. We would need that. No other game would have to be made. It would just be this, and then gaming would stop. Michelle Branch for life.
Oh man,
that's excellent. I think the name of this podcast should be Michelle Branching Out. So for mine, you guys are familiar with the Fables comics universe, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So The Wolf Among Us was based on Fables comics. I actually think that would fit really, really well with the Bethesda game, because you can just take it and you play as this random character. You don't have to play as like a Big B or something like that. Just a random character, even like a normal person, trying to figure out what's going on in this world of... it's your world, but it's taken over in a way by all these fairy tale kind of characters. It'd be a really cool, interesting take, and I know Bethesda would do an interesting storyline with it. I think that would be actually really cool and really fun.
That's actually a really excellent idea. Actually, that made me think of, I don't know if any of you guys have read the Dresden Files.
Yep.
But I think having a Dresden Files game, which there is going to be a Dresden Files cooperative board game coming out, but that's a side
did hear
thing.
about that. Yep.
Yeah. But a Dresden Files, I think, video game, open world like that, I think would work really, really well as well.
See, we got some awesome answer to that. So, copyright placement video games on all of those aforementioned ideas. So nobody can steal it. Our property. All right. So
Except
two
the Michelle
questions
Branch
left.
one, 'cause please, someone take that and build
Okay. All right. We'll allow Michelle Branch. I don't know if we can copyright a person anyway. So we got two more questions to wrap up our messages mailbag section. So let's blast through these. Jordan Graves sends in, my friends and I used to love playing team up in Madden. Then out of nowhere, they decided to take it out, which brings me to my question. Will Madden 17 have team up? I'll go first. No. Coach Mo.
Sadly, no.
And Kyle?
What's team up?
Couch co-op.
Can I talk about this?
Play on the same team.
Yeah, no, I don't think they will.
And Nathan.
You guys are all so pessimistic. Yes, as a $5 add-on.
Oh. Only in the collector's edition.
Yes.
Oh, that's cold. But you're right, we're all pessimists. All right, and the last question we got sent in was from Chris Osborne. He wants to know, have we played Blood Bowl on Xbox Games with Gold, and is it worth my time? I will have to pass on this because I do not have an Xbox and I have not played it. So, Mo, how about you?
Blood Bowl on the 360 was really rough. A lot of glitches, a lot of issues with leveling up characters. But Blood Bowl 2 on the Xbox One is really, really good. The setup they do for it, it's the Warhammer characters. I don't know a lot about that game, but how I describe it to people is it's more like the Lord of the Rings orcs kind of setup, and then there's men and other races. But you build this massive football team with different types of characters, and as you level them up, your team gets better, and you go play other teams and win. It's very XCOM and your strategy, trying to figure out how to take out the opposing team, but really, really fun game. I have a blast with it, and this Blood Bowl 2 really, really good. I would highly recommend.
Can I just butt in real quick because I have to say something? Because when I heard him say orc, it made me think of the Swedish chef from like Muppets.
Orc.
Yeah, orc. Sorry, I had to do it.
Well, since you're going, Nathan, what say you on Blood Bowl?
I have not played it. I have nothing to say. No comment on the matter. Fifth Element.
All right, so Kyle. So let me put my 2 cents in because I want to see if I can out-geek Kyle on this. So even though I have not played it, I do know it's also based on a board game. So,
well, it's actually technically based on a miniatures game, but that's cool.
Oh.
Is it all war? Are they
Swing
all
and a
Warhammer? Are they all Warhammer fantasy characters, or do they have 40K in there as well?
I actually could not tell you because I've never played anything Warhammer other than the 360 game.
Gotcha. Well, if they are all Warhammer fantasy characters, then yes, you should play it. If there are Warhammer 40K characters in there, then no, you should not.
There you go. So there's some completely uninformed answers by anybody except for Mo, who says just jump to Blood Bowl 2. Which brings me to a side email. So it's not a question per se, but Josh wrote in again off last week's episode where, if you recall, he asked us if he should play Dark Souls 3, which I told him no. Instead, just repeatedly run into the wall over and over again until you break through the wall. He said thank you very much for the advice. First off, he decided to pass on Dark Souls, but he also did not take my advice to run through walls, but instead bought Blood Bowl 2. So I thought it was really funny when we got the Blood Bowl question came in where Josh did pick that up instead of picking up Dark Souls. So I thought that was just an interesting sidebar.
Hopefully me and Josh can play.
There you go. Josh, hit up Coach Mo. Mo, what's your gamer tag again?
Coach Mahoney on Xbox One, or I think it's Big Mo 0099 on PSN.
There you go, Josh. Hit up Mo. He'll play with you. So that brings us to the end of the mailbag section. So we will get on to the main topic of this evening, which Mo is very, very excited for, Mo, because what are we talking about tonight?
Sports
Games. That's right. We're talking about and Michelle Branch. Well, we've talked at length about Michelle Branch tonight. So we are going to discuss our favorite sports games. With our previous other lists mentioned podcasts, we will do a article following the podcast with everybody's top 5 sports games because we will not get to them all on the podcast tonight. So with that being said, Mo, since you're our resident sports guy, what's one of your top sports games of all time?
Number 2, NBA 2K11. This was the first time they introduced real post play. So if you created a center, you could actually go to work with a hook shot or a fade, and you could rebound, box out, all that great stuff. And it was probably the best my player setup that was in a basketball game to date. Was that 2K11? So love it. Still one of my favorites. I keep it around just so I can jump back in and use my player and run through and keep leading the Blazers to victory.
There you go. Kyle, what's one from your list?
So I'll go with my number 2 with the risk of my number 1 going away, but I want to follow Coach Mo since Mo also loves Michelle Branch. RBI Baseball. No, not the travesty of baseball game they released today. The original one from 1988 on the NES.
Yes.
This was the first baseball game that I ever played. It was also the first baseball game to be licensed by the Major League Baseball Players Association. However, it was not licensed by Major League Baseball. So you had real players with fake teams. It was pretty great. Young Kyle was very thrilled, though, because there were only 8 teams in the game. But the way they picked those 8 teams, they were the 4 division leaders from the 1986 and 1987 baseball seasons. And my hometown at the time, Minnesota Twins, had won the World Series in 1987. So my team was in the game. So little Kyle got to play RBI baseball for hours and hours and hours and hours, pretending he was a Minnesota Twin, and winning the World Series pretty regularly in that game because it wasn't very hard. After a few hours, I pretty much was winning every game, 15 or 16 to nothing, throwing pretty much a perfect game every time. I don't think I'd ever go back and play it today because I'm sure it's just nostalgia that makes it number 2. But yeah, RBI Baseball, the original one from '88, love that game.
All right. Nathan, how about you?
Can we clarify what a sports game is?
Okay, Donnie.
I know. Someone's gonna hold the mantle.
Baseball, basketball, I would say any major league sport, racing and fighting.
Okay,
boxing.
so racing. Excellent. So, my first selection is going to be Pong.
Nice. I'm okay with that.
It's
I'm behind you there.
Technically table tennis, okay.
I'm picking up what you're laying down.
So,
smells good.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great game, right? And it's simple, but it's table tennis. I mean, what it was originally called, Table Tennis for Two or something like that? But that game it's classic. It's timeless, and it works really well as you progress on in the game. It gets faster and harder and more intense, and that's what you want in a game. And I think Pong needs to be in this discussion, and I really enjoy it, and I think it's got to be one of my top 5 or however many games of sports genre.
Interesting. Did not see that one coming.
I know, right?
Oof. But we all agree with you that I think that counts, so there's no argument there. All right, let's see. I think Kyle and I have the same number 1, so I'm tempted to do it, but I don't think I'm going to do it. So I will go with my number 2, since everybody seems to be picking their number 2 answer. That is any Nintendo 64 wrestling game that was published by THQ.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So if you're old enough to remember the days of Nintendo 64, they had many wrestling games revolving around WCW versus NWO at that time, and you had WWF, because it wasn't WWE, like No Mercy and stuff like that during the Stone Cold Steve Austin Degeneration X days. These have honestly hands down been my favorite wrestling games. The controls were nice and easy. You know, you had you hold down the A button for your strong grapple. The finishing moves were easy to do. You just kind of swung the toggle stick, the joystick in the middle of the controller there. And I had tons of fun. And the character creation mode I thought was excellent. Being able to make at the time myself and all my friends, we make our own tag teams. You'd be able to customize the entrance and the music and all that stuff. I just played so much of these games. It was funny and dumped in so many hours. That's probably honestly a majority of my N64 gaming time. If you were to add it all up, it was primarily wrestling games, I think. So that is my number 2 pick. So we are back to Mo. Why don't you give us one more of your list?
Number 1, Def Jam, Fight for New York. Not joking at all. That's my number 1.
But that's a fighting game.
It's a mixed martial arts boxing wrestling game.
All right, I'll allow it.
It fits in every genre because it's amazing.
That's true. All right, so tell us why. So if we're not familiar with the game, we need you to explain to those, obviously it's a clearly minority section of the audience who doesn't know what this game is, clearly.
Well, yeah.
So explain for those few listeners we have that might not know what this game is, exactly what is this masterpiece that you love.
Can I paint you a little picture? Little
Absolutely.
Mo.
Word picture.
Young man, about 6'3" at the time. Probably 5th grade, 4th grade, somewhere around there. Just 295 pounds of just little hopes and dreams. And I picked up my GameCube, Def Jam Fight for New York, and that game changed everything. I got to build my dude how I wanted to make him. He was a big, tall guy, so my little Mo could look up to him. He was 6'6". He had beautiful dreadlocks, something I never could do, because let's just leave it at that. He had these amazing, awesome tribal tattoos, something I always wanted to do, but I really hate needles, so I won't. And this guy just terrorizes some of the biggest hip hop stars of that age. You're picking up Method Man and smashing to the ground. You got just all these Ludas in there, just really awesome setup for who you're fighting. And it's all about taking over this territory, winning these fights. And the fights, there have never been fights like this before. You can grab a bottle from the fans, start smashing some dude in the head with it. You pick up a chair that gets thrown, bah! You throw him into a speaker, woo! And the best part, you get to fall in love. Yep. And then your girl goes and beats the crap out of the bad guy's girl, just for you. Thank you, Def Jam. Thank you.
And once again, for those of you who are not familiar with this game, he's not joking. That really was a game, and I remember, and I played it too.
All real.
There were two of them, right? Weren't there?
Yep, there was Def Jam. I don't remember the first one. It had a title behind it, and then after that was Def Jam Fight for New York, which I
remember that.
I still own and play. I have it's the GameCube games play in the Wii, and it's the only reason my Wii is in this house is so that I can pop that in, jump in, and save the world.
Awesome. All right, Kyle, give us another one from your list.
So, back in the day, not too long ago, there was this company called EA Sports Big. And I believe one of the games they made was actually Def Jam Vendetta, if I recall correctly.
Yes, that's it. Yep.
There you go.
And they also did most of the casual arcadey versions of sport games. So they're the ones who did the Street series of NFL Street and FIFA Street and NBA Street. But then in 2001, they released this little game that can be summarized like so. It's tricky to rock a rhyme. To rock a rhyme that's right on time. It's tricky. It's tricky, tricky, tricky. Yes, SSX Tricky is still, to this day, my favorite sports game of all time. I still think by far the best snowboarding game made ever. And I think probably if I had to add the total amount of time in a game, likely the game I spent the most time playing in my life. I absolutely adore that game. I wish I still had the means to play it today. They did do a re-release of SSX back in like 2012 or 2013, and it was fine. Yeah, I mean, it was fine, but it definitely did not have the heart and soul that SSX Tricky did. So there's videos of it on YouTube if you've never played it or heard of it. Check it out. It is over the top, ridiculous, just crazy stuff, but it was such a blast to play. So if you could find it, definitely recommend looking for it. I believe I played it on PS2. But just an awesome game.
Yeah, I think I played it on GameCube, and it had an amazing soundtrack too. That was the other big thing for that game. That also was number one on my list, so I was right that we both had the same number one. So, Nathan, go with another one from yours.
Speaking of soundtracks, this game, it's from the PS2 era, and I was trying to figure out which game it was because there were a lot of games that were like it. And the one thing that always reminds me, or that I think about when I play this game, is just me driving around in the free roam and listening to songs. And one comes up to be like Spoon Man. So to find out what game this was, I had to search like song or MX games with Spoon Man. And I found which game I'm looking for, and it is ATV Off-Road Fury on PlayStation 2, released February 7th, 2001. And here's the reason why I like this game so much, is because it was so fun to play at the time, and the track list is really good. So you get Atlanta by Straw Horse, Click by Ultra Spank, Crumble by Ultra Spank, Crush by Anthrax, Denial by Seven Dust, Fishbowl by Straw Horse, Isolate by Bender, Jerry Was a Race Car Driver by Primus, Mephisto by Strung Out, Scarecrow by Strung Out, Spoon Man by Soundgarden, Stop and Panic by Cirrus, Superfly by Bender, Them Bones by Alice in Chains, and Yo Future by Apollo 440. That's the track list that I would listen to hours on end, driving around in the forest, doing tricks, trying not to fall off my ATV. And I feel like it was a great game. And it had a race mode and everything. And you guys didn't see this one coming from me. I guarantee it, because it's a PlayStation game. And you're like, oh, he's an Xbox guy. But this was before the Xbox existed. So, there you go.
All right.
There's no Michelle Branch on that playlist.
That was my argument. I was like, you call that a playlist?
Well, hold on. This was in 2001. Was
It's
she
a
a
list.
big thing? Was she a big thing in 2001?
Yes.
probably
Michelle Branch
12.
has been a big thing since life was created.
No.
I'm 43% sure on that.
I'm going to Google Michelle Branch and her first
Do it
song.
right now, and your life will change.
I'm going to agree. First song
Do it.
was Wikipedia.
She
She had a song
that,
called
by the way.
Wikipedia?
She created it because there was no
Her
reason
first
to
album
use it
came out,
until
I
she
think,
went
in
out.
2000 or 2001. Maybe 99.
Yeah, it doesn't really... I don't know.
Because she's timeless. Can't put her in a box.
I don't know. I will let you know what her first one is, but I don't think she was a big notable thing in 2001 or 2000 when this game was being developed.
Take that back.
Oh, if it was 2000, then not. I think her first album came out in 2001.
So see, the game was already in development, so that's clearly why she wasn't on that
Okay.
that soundtrack
All right,
full of
I can give that
metal
to you.
music.
That was a good argument for you guys.
She was
Wrong.
born in
It's good.
83, so she would have been 17 when this game was developed. Was she singing at 17?
Yep.
Of course.
All the songs on her first album she wrote when she was 14 and 15.
You guys know that Terry Landu is her spouse, and he might not like your comments.
Ooh.
Terry,
He is a
I
listener.
have nothing but respect for Michelle. I want you to know that, buddy. You ever
And if
need
I re-
anything, I got your back.
Right.
She
Yeah,
just-
this is out of admiration. That's all
Yeah.
this is out of.
She's
There's no lust
associated
over
with
here.
Timbaland.
Well, then
Of
it's all
course.
good. Timbaland's the man.
Timbaland is good. I haven't heard him for a long time since, what was it, CEO or Boardroom or some album came out? I can't remember the album.
Cry Me a River.
He did, yeah. He produces all Justin Timberlake stuff, and he had a couple albums that he did, Shock Value, where he did like duets with other people. He did 2 albums full of those, whichever had some really good songs out of that. But anyway, so I'll go with my last one. So I'm going to go even older game than what Nathan had mentioned. So this game
Wait,
on my list.
I mentioned
What, go ahead.
Pong. You can't go older than that.
Oh, that's true. Right, sorry. I was thinking your ATV game. I apologize. I will go with the second oldest game discussed tonight. And this game is a sequel to a game that I played back on the Nintendo Entertainment System. And I loved this game, and I played the original one lots and lots and lots, but always got to the end of it and can never beat the entire game. So when the sequel came out on the Super Nintendo, I picked it up, and it seemed to be a far superior game, and I would say every single way, but still kept that nostalgia feel. And that game is Super Punch-Out!
Oh.
Absolutely loved this game. The characters were awesome, but still kept the same feel and gameplay that the NES version did.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of boosted it up and gave it a little more over-the-top characters, and it was a lot longer of a game too. Like there were many different title belts you can go through. So I mean, they had to be at least 20 to 30 different boxers you can compete against. And I just remember playing this so much to the point that you could go through bouts and you just memorize what moves were coming up and what the guy would do. Every character had its unique way of, taking them down. You had a certain tell you had to look for. But I sunk a lot of time into this game. So it's definitely on my top 5 list as well. And I think that for the sake of time will be all we talk about this. So like I said, we will put our top 5 lists on the website after this podcast drops, and we'll have the top 5s of the other members of PSVG who could not make it on this week's podcast. So please check that out, and also make sure to comment on the article if you want, or you can always tweet at us or email us with what's your favorite sports games. We'd like to hear from you. We had some unique non-traditional picks in there. I think we didn't just go with hey, Madden and NHL and whatnot. So we want to hear what you guys got. You got any quirky ones with us, or do you agree with Mo's love for Def Jam? So, hey, we want to hear from you. So we now will move on to the news. Pause for music. And not that music.
My bad.
That's your no pants music.
Yes.
And I'm totally leaving that in. Uh,
This week in Play Some Video Game News.
Kyle, why don't you hit us up with the first news story of this evening?
All right, so I'm guessing this is probably on somebody else's list too, so I don't mean to steal it. But apparently GameStop is going to start publishing games. Is this something, Mo, you feel a kinship to and would like to talk about?
I'm actually really jacked about this. Song of the Deep is a game that I'm really excited for. But what I'm so excited about is GameStop. It's a store built for gamers. Like it's literally built for us. And now they're going to start publishing stuff. And I just want to see them take some chances on some games and get them out there. Just get them made. So yeah, I'm really excited about it. So go ahead.
Yeah, and they're aligning themselves with a couple decent studios and one we'll talk about. But Frozen Byte, the Finnish studio that made the Trine series, which is a solid group of games. Tequila Works, which made Deadlight, and interestingly enough was working on a PS4 exclusive called Rhyme that Sony then basically told them they can have the rights back. So now who knows if that's the game that GameStop's going to be publishing or what. Oh, yeah. And then Ready at Dawn, who made the Order 1886. Some folks have assumed this means that they're not working on a sequel to that game. However, from what I've read, it sounds like Ready at Dawn is actually developing 3 games right now, so it's very possible that they are working on a sequel to The Order, and then obviously the relationship with Insomniac. So I'm interested to see where this goes. It doesn't sound like that they're going to be doing a lot of big AAA things right now, which would make sense. But I'm really interested to see, how this progresses and what this might mean for publishing as we move forward. I've seen these different entities start getting into the publishing world, so I'm really excited to see what comes of it, and definitely interested to see how they're going to use their physical store space combined with downloadable content and kind of how that's all going to work.
Agreed. I think it's definitely a cool move in the right direction for them. They definitely got to do something to make sure they stay relevant with everything going digital. And I mean, let's be honest, indies are very big now, and some of these really break out and can make a ton of money. So it's probably smart for GameStop to buy in on that and get a cut of the profits, if you will. So Nathan, what do you got for news?
On April 26th, players of Rocket League can get the Witcher Medallion free with the Hoops Mode update.
What does that mean?
So the Witcher Medallion, you are familiar with the little, looks like a lion, kind of with the red eyes.
It's a wolf, but okay.
Whatever, dude. He's
known as the White Wolf. I mean, you played
hours.
The Witcher. I played it for like an hour, and I knew that. Jeez.
Well, it looks like a lion. Anyway, it will be, so it's going to be in the Rocket League games as I think like a basketball type thing. So it'll be in the game. I have not played Rocket League. I don't know what purpose it'll be, but I heard this news and I was like, I love The Witcher, so I had to say it. And it looks like a wolf, I guess, but it looks like a lion to me. Come on now.
Okay.
It looks like a lion.
Still a wolf. They called the guy the White Wolf.
Yeah, they called him that, but the medallion looks like a lion head.
So why would a guy named the White Wolf wear a lion medallion?
Because there are no lions in that world.
That would be like somebody calling Batman Batman, but he's dressed like an ape.
Who's to say he's not dressed like an ape?
Valid point. I mean, everybody says he's not dressed like an ape. But anyway, all right. Mo, what do you have for news?
I need to start this by saying, Dan, it's time, bud. Iron Banner's coming back next week. So for all of my Destiny friends, we need to go in there and get that multiplayer going. We need to represent for Play Some Video Games. And we need to just go lay waste to all those teams that just don't understand what the deadly combination of Modin or Dynamo can do.
I also heard that parents just don't understand. Is that true?
I read that online, actually. Michelle Branch wrote it.
All right. I think we have time for a couple more news stories. So, Kyle, why don't you hit us up with another one?
So it looks like we might be learning Persona 5's release date soon. There's a timer on their website that is counting down to May 5th. And it's going to be interesting to see what exact information is going to be revealed when that timer hits 0. Is it going to be a release date? Is it going to be a new trailer? Kind of what's going to go on with that? There's been a lot of thought, especially in the PlayStation world, about Final Fantasy 15 and kind of the fall of Final Fantasy in recent years, along with the rapid growth and success that Persona has seen. And if both those games came out, in the same year or in similar time frames, what would that mean for sales? So it'll be really interested to see what information it is they're going to release. If it is a release, is it something close to Final Fantasy 15? Are they looking to go head to head? Are they looking to come, out earlier? Are they going to try to get out of the way? It'll just be really interesting to see what that information is, and then if it is a release date or whenever the release date is announced, when is that time frame?
Kyle, I hate to break it to you, but they're counting down to May 5th, right?
Yep.
They're counting down to the release of Civil War. They're counting down to when they can go sit in the theater, get their popcorn, and watch Captain America take on Iron Man.
That is very possible. I mean, it's a worthy countdown.
With no Hulk.
Cue sad Mo music. All right. Nathan, what else you got?
Well, this one is interesting, and I do want your opinions a little bit on this. So it looks like there's going to be an announcement soon of a quote-unquote Return to Arkham collection for the new consoles that includes Arkham Asylum and Arkham City.
Yes.
No Arkham City, or no Arkham Origins.
No.
And not Arkham Knight, even though it was already on the console. It wouldn't really make a ton of sense, but...
Yep.
And no Arkham Blackgate. So, my question to you, does Arkham Origins exist?
Ooh. You know what's really weird? I don't know if the microphone picked that up, but we just had a huge lightning thunderclap immediately after you said, does Arkham Origins exist?
Because the answer is no.
It was like... I don't know.
That was Michelle Branch telling us.
It's laying the hammer down.
Yep. On the piano. Because the keys.
All right. All right. Here's my take on it. I think the only reason that Arkham Origins is not included on it is because it wasn't developed by Rocksteady.
It doesn't matter, though.
I think it does, because they probably would have to shell out more cash for that. And they're like, why bother? Because more people appreciated the first two and then Arkham Knight than Arkham Origins, even though I enjoyed Arkham Origins.
Stop.
All right, go.
Why did people enjoy if you play these games back to back to back, you won't even realize that Rocksteady made one and WB was at Montreal made the other. You won't realize it. They're the same thing.
You definitely can. You definitely can tell the difference.
No, you can't.
Absolutely can.
And the story of Arkham Origins is fantastic.
Yes, it is. I agree. But all right, so here's my thing on it. Arkham Origins, the fighting style is slightly different.
He's a younger
It's a little
Batman.
clunkier. That's true. But I mean, as far as controls, it's clunkier. It's not as fluid.
Which is fine.
So, okay, if you want to say it's a new Batman, okay, it's fine.
But stop.
It's also...
If you play it first, and that's your experience, and it gets better as time progresses, isn't that what you're looking for?
Okay. All right, I'll give you that. All right, here's my other gripe. I'm pretty sure, at least in my experience, this was the shortest game by far.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And that I didn't like.
I don't think so. I think Arkham Origin, or Asylum was probably about the same length.
Possibly, but Asylum at least felt longer to me. I think it's because of the constant going back and forth of the same areas and having to get to different parts of the areas you'd already visited that made it seem longer to me. Origins, even though it had a bigger sized map, if you will, a lot of it was completely unneeded and you didn't even have to go there in 90% of that map. It was very, okay, go here, and then all the action happens in this one building. So it's kind of unneeded to have that sweeping landscape that it had. I understand business-wise why it's not. Like I said, I know it doesn't make a difference, quote-unquote, who developed it, but business-wise it does, because if they use it, they then have to give WB Montreal part of the cut. Ultimately, I think
but
gamers...
WB Montreal is part... WB is a publisher. They own WB Montreal. Right,
but then you got to shell out more money because they also included that game that was developed and published by them.
But it's
Rocksteady wants the most money. I'm just saying they want the most. Rocksteady wants the most amount of money out of it so they can take.
But
Plus, if they're the ones doing all the work, yes, they are. They remastered it.
No, it's. I read that it's an upgraded port that Rocksteady's not gotten a part in.
Oh God, then don't even play it. If WB handled this, then it's all going to play like Origins, and I quit.
I think the big thing is that I think to Rocksteady, Arkham Origins doesn't exist. Because if you ever hear interviews with them, they never refer to that game. Or at least I should say in the interviews I have heard with them or in the talks that they've done, they talk as if that game does not exist. So if they're just trying, I mean, I can see them trying to keep Rocksteady happy and just doing these two games together. Because from everything I've ever seen, read, listened to, it seems like they don't even acknowledge that Origins exists.
But it's a good game. I don't understand. It is so weird that this game came out, and I don't know how it sold, but it was a good game. I mean, there wasn't Arkham Knight had a poorer reception on PC than this game did, and I mean, the only thing that people griped about with Arkham Origins was that the fight with was it Deathstroke or with Deathstroke was too hard.
Really?
That's the only gripe that people ever say. It was too hard of a fight with Deathstroke. This game was great. I mean, I loved the Batwing stuff too. Being able to go around the city with the Batwing, that made a lot of sense. I loved that.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of things that this game did really well. Yeah, you could say the fighting is a little bit clunky, but if you play it in progression from Origins to then Asylum and then City, it fits. It feels fine. It's like going back and playing Uncharted, the Uncharted series. Go through 1, 2, 3. They get better as they go along.
Yeah, that's true. All right.
Anyway,
moving on.
Are you guys going to get this collection?
Achievements, so yes.
When I see a price point, I will decide.
I have too much other stuff to play. I've already played them, so I probably won't revisit them.
What about you, Nathan?
If they offer me a chance to get a download code or something for Origins as a remastered version, a la ODST on the Halo Master Chief Collection, I would strongly consider it. I have all these games on my PC, so I technically already have them all remastered anyway. So I don't know. Like, I just think that if you're going to tell the story, like, I'm tired of these collections coming out from these game series that only have 2 of the games in it. So you got the Handsome Collection that only has 2 of the games and not the original game. You got the Master Chief Collection that comes out and it doesn't have Reach. I mean, why are you guys picking and choosing so much? I mean, just give us the game. If you're going to give us anything, go 100%. Don't do this 60% stuff. Just do it all.
I'm going to disagree just a little bit, only on the Borderlands one, though. Like, Borderlands, the first one, like, great game, but 2 and the pre-sequel tie in together so well, it makes sense to bundle them together. Does that make sense? So, like, if you played 2, the pre-sequel makes a lot of sense.
Well, okay,
if you played 1, you know what I mean? But that's a lot of game. If you put all 3 of those together, I mean, you're talking hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of game.
The Witcher has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours.
I wonder if it's a size scope, though, or if you have like 3 massive games on one disc, if it's just not going to work.
The Master Chief Collection worked. There's no excuse.
Yeah, but most of that was downloaded, wasn't it?
I mean, it all came on a disc.
Master Chief worked after a lot of patches.
Well,
see, I thought you put it in it downloaded a majority of the game.
No, like you can play that offline and you get all the 4 games in it. You don't get the updates and things like that. But it's all in there. The core games are in there on the disc.
Yeah, but they're not massive open world games.
True. No.
I mean, if you have, like, especially with Borderlands, at least, I mean, the Batman ones, I could probably see you being able to fit them all on one disc, but the Borderlands might be a bit of an issue.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't have a voice of experience with Borderlands to know how big and massive it really is, but I think I heard thunder in the background again. I think Michelle Branch is crying out to us.
Yeah, it's thundering again. Can't really control it, sorry. All right, so I think that'll probably do it for news because we're running a little bit long. So thanks, everybody, for listening. So let's go through and see if anybody has anything they want to plug. So, Nathan, why don't you go first?
Sure. I, just before this one, recorded an episode of That's Entertaining with our friend Jason Lacey. We are talking X2 X-Men United. So that'll be coming up soon. It might even be up by the time this posts, so check that over at That's Entertaining's feed. And I just want to plug some other podcasts that I frequent and enjoy, because I'm in a podcasting community spirit mood at this point. So obviously we thank you for listening to Play Some Video Games, the official podcast. But if you enjoy us, check out Jason's podcast over at Fluxtaposed. They do some geek culture talk over there. And if you enjoy comic books, obviously we have something for you over on the That's Entertaining feed. But in addition to that, we also one of my friends, Tim Van Antru, who was on a recent episode of That's Entertaining, does a comic book podcast called Comic Book Nerds Unite. So check them out. He also does Star Wars Nerds Unite, so if you want a good Star Wars podcast, I recommend that. And finally, to round it all out this evening, I would like to give a shout out to Tap the Craft. It's a bi-weekly beer podcast, beer enthusiasts, with hosted by Denny Luce, and it is a great podcast, and I would recommend you give it a listen if you enjoy beer.
And I mean, who doesn't? No, really, who doesn't?
I enjoy it. I had beer today already.
We know. Right. Mo, how about you?
I have two things I wanted to add real quick. I'm looking it up online. I'm seeing people saying they're beating the Star Fox thing in 3 hours. So I was wondering why, you guys were saying 9 hours was, because I feel like I was doing really bad. I didn't feel like I was flying through it. So I just wanted to share that. Number two, I've been working on a piece about The Division. I'm currently trying to figure out how to capture some video on what got me hooked, what sank my claws on into it, and as well as an actual article opinion piece to go with it. And last, I want to give a shout out to the Carmike Fantasy League. They wrote in 2 questions today. I want you guys to know how much I appreciate you supporting the Play Some Video Games and this awesome stuff that we're trying to share with you guys involving this great art that is video games.
Absolutely. Thank you. And Kyle, how about you? Anything you want to plug?
So I'm going to plug a couple things, and I'm also going to incorporate some news into my plugs. So number one, if you're active on Twitter, make sure you follow Shinobi602 on Twitter. That man definitely has some solid insider information. Apparently Sony Ben's new game is going to be called Dead Don't Ride. Interesting. Doesn't say anything more than that, but looks like we have some more info on Sony Ben's game, which we haven't heard at all. Second plug is going to be, I know indie games sometimes people get really frustrated with, and they feel like there's way too many indie games out there. But I encourage you to try to find a studio that you really fall in line with. Supergiant Games, who made Bastion and Transistor, which are 2 of my favorite games ever. Doesn't matter price point or size. They just announced their new game called Pyre, which is coming out in 2017 on PS4 and Steam. So find those little developers that you really enjoy. Support them so they can continue to make great games. Look soon for Mo and myself's Michelle Branch Super Fan podcast. So that'll be part of the Play Some Video Games Network, possibly. And then hit me up on PSN or Twitter. My handle's Psychocross, which is CYCOCROSS. Would love to chat with people, talk more about video games, and play some games with folks.
I think that you should name your podcast. You should name your Michelle Branch podcast Play Some Video Games of Love.
Oh, that would be really good, Nathan. That'd be really good. Kevin, you don't know why that's good, right? Right? You don't get it?
I do. I made the joke.
I know, but Kevin,
No, I don't.
She did a song with Santana called Game of Love.
Okay, yeah, all right, I do know that song. Okay.
There you go.
I didn't know the name of the song, but the second you said it, I could hear it in my head. So, all right, I know what you're talking about now.
Yep.
So that's what she does.
We're going to get a lawsuit against... Michelle Brandt's going to file a lawsuit against us. I can already see it.
We're giving
or she's going to thank us
she's
for...
loving it.
That's true. We're bringing the spotlight back on Michelle Branch, so she owes
The
us.
spotlight never left Michelle.
She's going to get a boost of MP3 downloads. She'll be like, what is this? And she'll check it back to Play Some Video Games. I'm like, what?
These guys?
Speaking of Play Some Video Games, I would like to remind you to visit us at www.playsomevideogames.com. You can find us on Twitter at _PSVG. We have forums on the website, so we do want to remind you we are still running our Quantum Break giveaway contest for the Xbox One. We will give you until we record our episode next week, so that will be April 29th. Will be your deadline to register for that. All you have to do is, if you're not signed up for the forum already, sign up for our forums. Go to the podcast Talk to Us section on the forum, and you'll see a topic dedicated to Coach Mo's giveaway of Quantum Break. In there, all you need to do is comment with your favorite PSVG moment so far, and we will randomly select a winner to get you a copy of Quantum Break on the Xbox One. It is that simple. So tell your friends. Sign up now. You got one more week left until we go ahead and shut that down, and we will announce our winner after that. Can I
add something to that real quick?
Yes, absolutely.
So I just want to say one more thing. This is the highlight of my week. I absolutely love getting to be here. Like, I love teaching. It's really fun to work with the kids and stuff, but this fills me with so much joy and excitement because I'm so grateful for all the guys that play some video games. I'm so grateful for you guys for listening. The first person to put the YouTube video of Def Jam's Fight for New York intro, I will send you Star Fox Zero.
Oh, dude, I'm doing it right
Whoa.
now. I just did it.
First person.
I just did it.
First person.
Wow.
In that forum thread, you're going to get another game. You could still win Quantum Break.
Can I do it?
No employees, buddy.
Ah, dang it.
All right? You don't bite the hand that feeds you.
But I'm not
Michelle
doing
Branch wrote that. I don't know what that means. First person. So you're listening to this and you're going, I bet somebody already did it.
Mo just jacked out of the Matrix just then. It was
Michelle
like this
Branch is
long.
coming for you, Mo.
I know Michelle Branch is hacking our podcast right now. So, all right. So apparently, Coach Mo, if he's serious about this, if you
I'm
post
100% serious right
Dude, I want.
all right. So if you post the YouTube clip of the intro for Def Jam, I'm assuming Fight for New York,
not Vendetta. If you put Vendetta, I will break the game in front of you.
If you put Vendetta, you have to buy Coach Mo a copy of Star Fox Zero.
And some cheese fries.
All right, so there you have it. Post the intro video to Def Jam Fight for New York on the forums. In that same thread is Quantum Break, and Coach Mo will send you a copy of Star Fox Zero.
We're looking for timestamps, folks.
There you go. All right. So.
I do want to add one thing too, by the way, Coach. For the runner-up that doesn't win the Quantum Break disc, can you go ahead and send them a pair of your pants that you don't wear, just so they don't feel left out?
Most people, if they saw my pants, you would think it was pants for a group of 4. It's a 10. I'm a big man. Y'all don't understand. Like, when I get to meet you in person, I'm going to give you just a big, giant hug. I'm going to hug your family at the same time I'm hugging you and your car.
All right, I don't think we can top that. So thank you all for listening. As always, make sure you continue to tell your friends. We appreciate you guys listening each and every week and sharing the word. Please continue to rate us on iTunes. That does help us get the word out even more. Breaking news, we are available on Google Play Podcasts now as well. So you can listen right from your web browser or your Android devices as long as you have the most current update on there. So as always, we thank you for listening. And remember, boys and girls, never stop gaming.
Thank you for listening to Play Some Video Games, the official podcast.
Done.
All right, go buy me another Star Fox.
Yeah, what was that, dude?
It felt right, man.